I just thought about that Soundman episode, Soundman, Cowboy Bebop episode, Perret LaFoe, where Spike comes out of the pool hall, and the killer, the Perret LaFoe guy, he sees Spike and he just attacks him. So that's like, it could be a case of mistaken identity or whatever. But he's falling into this situation, he's got to fight. So I'm just thinking about, what if Soundman was out and he was just as Marsalis? He didn't have his costume on or anything. He just had regular street clothes on. And he's walking down the street, walking down the strip mall. He's walking down the strip mall. And then some crazy dude comes out of the store and sees him. And then he decides he's going to draw down on Soundman. Now, Soundman, he's in his street clothes, t-shirt. He don't have time to say to the guy, hey, I'm not the guy you're looking for. Mistaken identity. No. So what happens is, the guy, as soon as he pulls the gun and shoot, before he can pull the trigger to shoot Soundman, Soundman had already moved. He's already moved out of the way because he moves at the speed of sound. So at that point, all Soundman has to do is, then the guy, Soundman goes, so then the guy has a big hole, slash in his chest, and his chest bursts open, and he falls over. Maybe he dies. Now, two things. The first thing was, the guy pulled a gun on him first. Okay? Soundman had the right to defend himself. He shot him with a waveform blast. You really didn't have time to think, because the guy pulled the gun. Next thing you know, when somebody pulls the gun, they pull the trigger, you're dead. So Soundman doesn't have any time to react. To think. He only has time to react. So, he goes out of the way, and he waveform blast, and he shoots the guy. He does that at the speed of sound. So even if people there saw Marsalis do it, which is damn near impossible, that's one of those slow-mo scenes, they wouldn't be able to prove that he did it, because he moved at the speed of sound. Secondly, I didn't think about. Secondly, people know of Soundman, but nobody saw him there. So it's like this guy pulled a gun on a black guy walking down the sidewalk. He pulls the trigger. Before he can even pull the trigger, the guy moved out the way and shot him in the chest with a waveform blast, which nobody would see. It's a waveform. It's a waveform. It's a sound. I draw it when I animate it. It's like like that. Nobody sees that. So he gets chopped. His chest gets chopped open by the waveform blast, and he falls back. So even if forensics was the CSI, like Barry Allen, even the CSI would have said, oh, he got killed by a waveform blast. Well, what witnesses saw Soundman there? And they're like, none. Soundman was there, but he was in his street clothes. And so all Marsalis, dressed in street clothes, all he has to do is, after he shoots that waveform blast, is fall over. For him, he's falling over in slow-mo. For everybody else, it's like the guy came out, pulled the gun, pulled the trigger, and for some reason, Marsalis tripped, and his hand went like that, and he falls over and falls on the ground. So the guy gets his chest cut open by the waveform blast. The gunman falls over. Soundman falls over because he stumbled to try to get out of the way of the gunman. So Marsalis, in his street clothes, he pulls a Clark Kent. Oh my God, I fainted. He didn't faint. He just stumbled to try to get out of the way. And luckily, not because of physics, luckily he fell and didn't get shot. But remarkably, that bullet left the chamber of the gun and nobody else got shot. You know why? Because Marsalis could get up, run over, and grab that bullet. Grab that bullet before it reaches anybody else. So he can kill a guy who fired on him, fall to the ground, and play it off like he doesn't have any power. And he can kill that guy who just fired on him. Now, if they found out that he did it, Marsalis did it, it would still be self-defense. But the thing about it is, If you look at the security camera, let's say the security cameras, nobody saw Soundman there. Everybody in Seattle knows what Soundman looks like. It's like, okay, well, Soundman wasn't there, so we know he didn't do it. He didn't fly in and shoot the guy and leave. You know, Soundman, even if Soundman did fly in and cut the guy and leave, he would have still been on the camera. If you slow those security cameras down, you would have seen a flash of blue. The blue blur. You would have seen a flash of blue or something on the camera, or his tuning fork. Something would have been on the camera. But since Marsalis is there in his street clothes, t-shirt, jeans, he could shoot this guy back with a waveform blast, or he could liquefy the guy's body with a sonic blast. Liquefy his body with the sonic blast and not go to jail. Because, well, at any rate, the dude fired first. So that, I mean, you gotta look at it like somebody shoots at you and you throw a rock at them. You're not gonna go to jail if you hit this motherfucker in the nose with a rock and they die. They fired at you with a gun. So it's the same thing. If this guy fires at you and you carrying a tuning fork, your weapon is a tuning fork, and you stab him in the throat with the tuning fork and he dies, that ain't on you. Right, that ain't on you. That's on them. Yeah, I just thought about that. Yeah, he wouldn't, you know, at any rate, if the guy died, he wouldn't be culpable because he would have been defending himself because the guy fired first. And he just shot back, naturally, with the waveform blast. He shot back. But nobody would see that because he do it so fast. You know, and it's a waveform. It's sonic. You can't see sonic pressure. Not normally, anyway. So, yeah, that would be how that would play out. And none of that, he don't have time to run to a phone booth, run around the corner, and come back with his costume on. It's like, it's a split-second decision right there. You know? The other option would be to shoot him point blank in the barrel of the gun, and then split the bullet in half and hit the gun, and the gun explodes. But at that rate, that guy would die. He died. That guy would die. The gunman would die at that too, because the gun would explode in his face. So he would die in that case too. So don't shoot at random black guys in Seattle, because they might be Soundman, and they might kill you with a waveform blast.